Welcome to our deep dive, all about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We're going beyond the hype to uncover how it works, its fascinating history, and its potential to reshape our world.
Yeah.
We're diving into excerpts from Bitcoin and cryptocurrency technologies,
Right.
which is a pretty dense textbook from Princeton University.
Yeah. It's a great resource though.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. So before we delve into all the technical intricacies, I'm just curious, how did we even get here?
Okay.
Was Bitcoin the first attempt at creating digital cash?
That's a great question, and it highlights a crucial aspect of Bitcoin's origin story.
Okay.
It wasn't, the first rodeo, so to speak.
Right.
Companies like DigiCash First Virtual and CyberCash were all vying for online payment dominance back in the 90s.
Oh, wow. So like the Wild West of the internet.
Exactly.
But they ultimately failed, right?
They did, and their downfall reveals a key insight into what makes Bitcoin different.
Okay.
These early attempts relied on centralized systems, a single point of control,
Okay.
which, as it turned out, created vulnerabilities.
Mm-hmm.
They struggled with security breaches and ultimately failed to gain widespread adoption.
So Bitcoin's decentralized nature. The fact that it's not controlled by any single entity is a key differentiator.
Absolutely. It's a radical departure from traditional financial systems.
Okay.
And to grasp the magnitude of this innovation, we need to understand the technical foundations.
Okay, so let's unpack that.
Sure.
What are the building blocks that make Bitcoin's decentralized magic possible?
It all boils down to cryptography,
Okay.
specifically cryptographic hash functions.
Okay.
Think of them as digital fingerprints for information.
Mm-hmm.
They take any input,
Right.
no matter how large,
Okay.
and produce a unique fixed size output.
Okay. Digital fingerprints. Got it.
Yeah.
But how do these fingerprints ensure Bitcoin's security and functionality?
These functions have three key properties
Okay.
that are crucial for Bitcoin.
Okay.
First, collision resistance.
Okay.
It's virtually impossible to find two different inputs that produce the same hash.
Mm-hmm.
This guarantees that each Bitcoin transaction is unique and can't be duplicated.
So no forging transactions. We're creating fake Bitcoins.
Exactly.
What's the second property?
Hiding? The hash function effectively scrambles the input data,
Okay.
making it impossible to determine the original information just by looking at the hash. This ensures a degree of privacy for Bitcoin transactions.
So it's like a secret code.
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
Protecting the details of the transaction.
Right.
Interesting. What's the third property?
Puzzle friendliness.
Yeah.
This is where the concept of Bitcoin mining comes into play.
Okay.
A puzzle-friendly hash function makes it computationally challenging to find an input that produces a specific output.
Okay.
It's like searching for a needle in a digital haystack.
Right.
And that search is what secures the Bitcoin network.
Hold on. I'm intrigued. How does searching for a digital needle secure an entire financial network?
This is where the blockchain enters the picture.
Sure.
Imagine a public ledger that records every single Bitcoin transaction ever made. That's the blockchain.
I've heard the term blockchain thrown around a lot, but what is it really?
It's essentially a chain of blocks,
Okay.
each containing a set of transactions.
Right.
These blocks are linked together chronologically.
Okay.
Using the digital fingerprints, we discussed the hash pointers. Each block's header includes the hash of the previous block,
Okay.
creating a tamper-proof chain.
So if someone tries to alter a past transaction,
Right.
it would change the hash, breaking the chain
Exactly.
and alerting everyone.
Really. This makes the blockchain incredibly secure and transparent.
Wow.
Every transaction is permanently recorded and verifiable by anyone.
Okay.
But there's another critical element at play here.
Mm-hmm.
Distributed consensus.
Now, this is where things start to get really mind-boggling.
Yeah.
How do you get a network of computers,
Right.
potentially spread across the globe, to agree on a single version of the truth when it comes to these transactions?
That's where the puzzle-friendly nature of hash functions
Okay.
and the ingenious concept of proof of work come in.
Okay.
Bitcoin miners are constantly competing to solve these complex hash puzzles.
So these miners are like digital detectives,
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
racing to crack the code and add to the blockchain's history.
That's a great way to think about it.
And the solution they find acts as proof that they've expended significant computational effort,
Right.
hence the term proof of work.
Exactly.
This process ensures that only valid blocks are added to the chain, maintaining its integrity.
Yes.
But it also raises a key question.
Oh, wait.
What's in it for the miners?
Right.
What motivates them to dedicate so much computational power to solving these puzzles?
The answer is simple incentives.
Yeah.
Miners who successfully add a block are rewarded with Bitcoins.
Oh.
It's a lucrative endeavor that drives the entire Bitcoin ecosystem.
So we've got these digital fingerprints ensuring the security and uniqueness of transactions.
Right.
A blockchain that acts as a public record of every transaction. And miners competing to add to the chain and earn Bitcoins.
Yes.
But doesn't Bitcoin also have a reputation for being anonymous?
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
That's a common misconception. Bitcoin is more accurately described as pseudonymous.
Okay.
While users aren't directly identified, their transactions are linked to specific addresses on the blockchain, which are publicly visible.
So it's like using a code name, but your actions are still recorded for anyone to see.
Right.
That doesn't sound very anonymous.
You're right. And while there are techniques like mixing services that try to enhance privacy by obscuring the transaction history, they often introduce their own set of trade-offs and complexities.
Interesting. So the quest for anonymity in the world of Bitcoin is far more nuanced than it seems at first glance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we delve deeper into the real-world applications of Bitcoin and its potential impact on society, this question of privacy and anonymity will only become more crucial.
Well, you've certainly piqued my curiosity. I'm eager to explore those implications further.
Yeah.
But for now,
Okay.
let's maybe take a quick break and come back to unravel the mysteries of Bitcoin's quest for anonymity and its potential to reshape our world.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to our Bitcoin deep dive.
Yeah.
We kind of left off on this intriguing note of Bitcoin's quest for anonymity and how achieving true anonymity in like a public transparent system like Bitcoin presents like a unique challenge.
Indeed. It's a fascinating paradox.
Yeah.
So let's delve a little deeper into some techniques aimed at enhancing privacy within the Bitcoin ecosystem. One concept that has gained some traction is decentralized mixing.
Decentralized mixing. What makes it different from the mixing services we touched on earlier?
The key distinction lies in removing the reliance on centralized third parties. Decentralized mixing protocols enable users to mix their coins directly with one another without relying on a potentially vulnerable intermediary.
So it's a more peer-to-peer approach,
Okay.
cutting out the middleman.
Right.
Can you give me like a concrete example?
Certainly, CoinJoin is a popular decentralized mixing protocol.
All right.
Multiple users essentially pool their coins together in a single transaction, making it difficult to trace the flow of funds from a specific input to a specific output.
That sounds pretty clever.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you still need to trust the other participants in the CoinJoin transaction?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it highlights the ongoing challenge of balancing privacy with security in decentralized systems.
Right.
However, there are ways to mitigate those risks.
Okay.
For instance, some CoinJoin implementations utilize multi-signature transactions, requiring agreement from multiple parties before the coins can be moved.
So it's like having multiple locks on a safe deposit box, adding an extra layer of security. Are there any other approaches to enhancing Bitcoin privacy
Yes.
that go beyond mixing?
There are some more experimental and arguably more radical approaches that aim to provide even stronger anonymity guarantees.
Okay.
Zero Coin and Zero Cash are two examples that have garnered attention in the privacy-focused cryptocurrency space.
Those names sound intriguing. What makes them so different?
They leverage advanced cryptographic techniques, particularly zero-knowledge proofs.
Zero-knowledge proofs? Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Imagine being able to prove, something like a secret password without actually revealing the password itself.
Okay.
That's the essence of a zero-knowledge proof.
So it's like a magic trick where you convince someone you have the key without showing them the key itself.
A very apt analogy.
Wow.
Now apply that concept to Bitcoin transactions.
Okay.
Zero Coin and Zero Cash aim to create special anonymous coins that are completely unlinkable to any previous transactions.
So it's like trading in your traceable Bitcoins for untraceable poker chips, breaking the link to your past transactions.
Precisely. It effectively erases the transaction history.
Wow.
Making it extremely difficult, if not impossible, to trace the flow of funds.
That sounds incredibly powerful for privacy.
It is.
But are there any downsides to these technologies?
As with any technology, there are trade-offs.
Okay.
These systems often require significant computational resources, which can impact their practicality for everyday use.
So a balancing act between privacy and efficiency.
Exactly.
It seems like the pursuit of anonymity in the Bitcoin world is like this constant evolution.
Yeah.
A cat and mouse game between privacy advocates and those seeking to trace transactions.
Indeed. It's a dynamic and ever-evolving landscape. But let's shift gears for a moment.
Okay.
And contemplate the broader societal implications of Bitcoin and its underlying technology.
Okay.
Decentralization, after all, extends far beyond just finance.
That's a thought-provoking point.
Yeah.
We've discussed how Bitcoin allows peer-to-peer transactions without the need for traditional intermediaries like banks. But what other aspects of our lives could be transformed by this kind of decentralized approach?
One area ripe for disruption is governance.
Okay.
Imagine a world where blockchain technology is used to create more transparent and accountable systems for voting, decision-making, and even law enforcement.
A decentralized government. It sounds both utopian and a little unnerving.
Yeah.
What would that look like in practice?
While still largely theoretical, the potential is vast.
Okay.
Envision a system where every vote is recorded on an immutable blockchain, rendering election manipulation virtually impossible.
Okay.
Or a decentralized court system where smart contracts automatically enforce agreements and resolve disputes.
It's like taking the power structures we're used to and turning them upside down.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that lead to chaos?
It's a valid question. Who would be in charge if everything were decentralized?
Right.
That's the crux of the challenge, finding the right balance between individual autonomy and the need for some level of coordination and order. It's a complex issue, one that society will grapple with as blockchain technology matures.
It's fascinating to think that Bitcoin, which started as like a digital currency, could spark a conversation about reshaping the very fabric of our societies.
It's true.
Are there any practical applications of blockchain technology beyond these grand visions of decentralized governance
Yes.
that are already starting to make an impact?
Absolutely. We briefly touched on the concept of colored coins earlier.
Right.
This is where the blockchain's potential to revolutionize how we think about property rights and ownership becomes truly apparent.
So remind me, how do colored coins work?
Essentially, colored coins leverage the Bitcoin blockchain to represent and transfer ownership of a wide range of assets, both physical and digital. Imagine owning digital representations of stocks, bonds, or even real estate.
Right.
All securely recorded and transacted on a blockchain.
It's like taking the concept of a physical deed or a stock certificate and transforming it into a digital tamper-proof asset on like a global ledger.
Exactly.
What are the implications of this?
It could lead to more efficient and transparent markets, potentially reducing fraud and increasing liquidity.
It sounds like we're on the cusp of a digital revolution in asset ownership.
Indeed. And it's not just about transforming existing assets. We're also witnessing the emergence of entirely new types of digital assets. All built on blockchain technology.
Now you've piqued my curiosity again. Give me some examples of these new digital assets.
Consider digital collectibles, virtual items in online games, or even intellectual property rights, all securely tracked and managed on a blockchain. This opens up a world of possibilities for creators, entrepreneurs, and anyone who wants to establish ownership and control over their digital creations.
It sounds like we're witnessing like the birth of a new digital economy. One built on the principles of decentralization and transparency.
Exactly.
It's both exhilarating and a little daunting to think about the potential implications.
It is. And we must acknowledge that every revolution has its challenges. As we move deeper into this world of decentralized possibilities, we need to be aware of the potential pitfalls.
That's a crucial point. We've explored the exciting potential of Bitcoin and blockchain technology. But what about like the flip side? What are the risks and challenges we need to be mindful of as we navigate this uncharted territory?
That's precisely where we'll pick up in the final part of our deep dive.
We'll
explore the potential downsides, the security risks, the regulatory hurdles, and the environmental concerns surrounding this revolutionary technology. Stay tuned for a sobering yet essential look at the challenges that lie ahead.
Welcome back to like the final part of our Bitcoin deep dive. We've explored the fascinating technology behind Bitcoin, its potential to like revolutionize finance and even like reshape society. But let's face it, no revolution comes without its challenges.
That's true.
So let's kind of shift gears and talk about the potential downsides.
Okay.
The risks and concerns that we need to be aware of as we venture deeper into this decentralized world.
You're absolutely right. Every technological leap forward comes with its own set of hurdles.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin, despite its revolutionary potential, is no exception.
So where do we start? What are like some of the biggest concerns surrounding Bitcoin?
One of the most pressing issues is security.
Okay.
While the blockchain itself is incredibly secure, thanks to the cryptography and the decentralized network of miners, the human element remains a potential weak point.
You're talking about like those stories of people losing access to their Bitcoin wallets.
Exactly.
Or falling victim to scams.
Right.
It seems like those headlines are becoming more and more common these days.
They are. Managing your own private keys, which are essentially the passwords to your Bitcoin holdings, comes with a significant amount of responsibility. If you lose your keys, your Bitcoins are gone forever.
Right.
And as the value of Bitcoin continues to fluctuate, it becomes an even more attractive target for hackers and scammers.
So it's a bit like the Wild West of finance out there.
Yeah.
High reward, but also high risk.
That's a good way to put it.
What about regulation? We've touched on this before.
All right.
But can governments really control something as decentralized and borderless as Bitcoin?
That's a question that governments around the world are still grappling with.
Yeah.
Some view Bitcoin as a threat to their control over monetary policy, while others see it as an opportunity for innovation.
Oh.
The regulatory landscape is still very much in flux,
with
different countries taking different approaches.
We discussed the New York Bit License earlier, which was an attempt to regulate Bitcoin businesses within the state.
Right.
But it seems like that's just one example among many. Are we heading toward a world where every Bitcoin transaction is tracked and taxed?
It's certainly a possibility.
Wow.
And it raises some fundamental questions about how to balance the desire for financial privacy and freedom with the need for accountability and consumer protection.
It's a delicate balance for sure.
Yeah.
And what about the environmental impact of Bitcoin?
Okay.
We talked about the energy-intensive process of Bitcoin mining.
Yeah.
Is that a sustainable model in the long run?
That's another valid concern.
Yeah.
The proof-of-work system used by Bitcoin requires a significant amount of energy. And as the network grows, so does its carbon footprint.
Right.
There's a growing debate about the sustainability of this model, especially as awareness of climate change and the need for renewable energy sources increases.
So it's a bit like a digital gold rush.
Yeah.
But instead of digging up the earth, we're burning through electricity.
Yeah, good analogy.
Are there any alternatives to this energy-intensive proof-of-work system?
There are. One promising alternative is proof of stake.
Okay.
Where instead of miners competing to solve complex puzzles, they essentially put up a stake of their own cryptocurrency as collateral to validate transactions.
So it's more like a digital trust system.
Yeah.
Where those with the most skin in the game have the most influence.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Proof of stake systems tend to be much more energy efficient than proof of work.
Okay.
And they could be a key to making cryptocurrency more sustainable in the long term.
Okay, so we've got security risks, regulatory uncertainty, and environmental concerns.
Right.
Are there any other challenges we need to consider as we navigate this decentralized future?
One more crucial aspect is scalability.
Okay.
Bitcoin in its current form can only process a limited number of transactions per second.
Okay.
This can lead to delays and high transaction fees during periods of high demand.
Right. I've heard stories about people waiting hours or even days for their Bitcoin transactions to go through.
Yeah.
Not exactly ideal if you're trying to buy a cup of coffee.
Right.
Or make a quick payment.
Exactly. If Bitcoin wants to become a truly mainstream form of payment, it needs to find ways to scale up its transaction processing capabilities.
Okay.
There are various proposals for how to achieve this.
All right.
Like increasing the block size or implementing something called the Lightning Network, which allows for faster off-chain transactions.
So it's like creating a network of Bitcoin superhighways to handle all that extra traffic.
Right.
Interesting. But are these solutions actually feasible? Are they likely to be implemented?
That's a complex question. Implementing these changes often requires consensus from the Bitcoin community.
Okay.
And as we've seen, reaching agreement in a decentralized system can be challenging.
Yeah.
It's a bit like herding cats, and everyone has their own opinions and priorities.
Right. That decentralized nature that makes Bitcoin so unique also makes it difficult to change or adapt quickly.
It does.
So with all these challenges, security, regulation, environmental concerns, and scalability, what does the future hold for Bitcoin?
Right.
Is it doomed to fail, or does it have like a bright future ahead?
It's impossible to predict the future with certainty.
Sure.
But one thing is clear. Bitcoin and the underlying blockchain technology are here to stay.
Okay.
They've sparked a wave of innovation and disruption that's only going to accelerate in the coming years.
So it's less about whether Bitcoin itself will succeed and more about what kind of impact it will have on the world.
Precisely. Bitcoin may evolve and transform, or it may eventually be surpassed by newer, more sophisticated cryptocurrencies.
Right. Okay.
But the underlying principles of decentralization, transparency, and cryptographic security are fundamentally changing how we think about money technology.
Wow.
And even the very structure of our society.
That's a powerful thought. As we wrap up this Bitcoin deep dive, what's like the one key takeaway for our listeners? What should they be thinking about as they navigate this evolving landscape?
The key takeaway is that the future is uncertain, but it's also full of possibilities. The decisions we make today, both individually and collectively, will shape the decentralized world of tomorrow.
So stay informed, stay engaged, and be prepared to ride the wave of change.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of Bitcoin.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back soon with more explorations into the ever-evolving world of technology and ideas.